Out of all of Batman's villains, criminal masterminds, monsters, and madmen, none are as tragic as Mr. Freeze. His story isn't about chaos or power. It's about love, loss, and the cold price of obsession. Before the suit, he was just a man in love, but Gotham took everything from him and left behind only cold.
Think of it, Batman. To never again walk on a summer's day with a hot wind in your face.
Now, before Heart of Ice, Mr. Freeze wasn't really relevant. Originally called Mr. Zero, he was introduced in the 1950s, a standard villain with a freeze gun and a fishbowl on his head. He actually had a fishbowl on his head, but the era was different back then. Things were more campier and more lighthearted, especially comics. And even in the 1966 Batman series, he was just another villain of the week. Yeah, he had his ice gimmick, but there wasn't a story there. That was until 1992, when everything changed. One episode of Batman the Animated Series rewrote everything and transformed Mr. Freeze from a punchline into a tragedy. In the episode Heart of Ice, we meet Victor Freeze as a brilliant cryogenicist and a man in love. When his wife Nora became terminally ill, he placed her in suspended animation, freezing her in time while he worked non-stop for a cure. But GothCorp, the company funding his research, didn't care about love. They cared about liability. And when they shut down his project, the results were life-changing. In the chaos, the chemicals spilled, the cryosystems were overloaded, and Victor's body was altered forever. Now unable to survive in normal temperatures, he had to build a suit to keep himself alive. Now, Heart of Ice isn't just a villain origin, it's a tragedy. A love story buried under layers of frost and rage. Freeze doesn't lash out at the city, at least not yet, and he doesn't want to rule Gotham like most of the other villains. He only wants vengeance against the man who took everything from him, Ferris Boyle. Paul Dini absolutely cooked with this script. He turned what could have been another villain of the week into something amazing, and what makes it even better is that even Batman understands it, because deep down he knows what it means to lose someone. At the end of this episode, he doesn't just fight Freeze, he exposes Boyle. Because even with Freeze turning into a villain, the real monster of this episode was Ferris Boyle. In the end, Freeze sits alone in his cell, with a snow globe in his hand, whispering to the woman he couldn't save. This episode didn't just make him a better villain, he became unforgettable. Now, when Mr. Freeze returned in the episode Deep Freeze, something had changed. He was still searching for a way to save Nora, but the character was colder, not just physically, but also spiritually. The love is still there, but there's more obsession. In this episode, a billionaire named Grant Walker wants to use Freeze's technology to become immortal and build a utopia. To him, Freeze's condition is a gift, but to Victor, it's a curse. And when Grant offers to save Nora, Freeze agrees to help him, not out of hope, but out of desperation. But when the truth is revealed that Walker's plan will destroy millions of lives, Freeze does something unexpected. He turns on Walker and fights back against the cold future promised to him. Even stripped of emotion, Victor still remembers who he was. He ends up destroying Walker's facility, refusing to let others suffer for his pain, and he vanishes in the frozen sea, presumed dead, but still clinging to the last piece of his humanity. Then comes the movie SubZero. After disappearing in the sea, we find Victor living in the Arctic as he continues to care for Nora, who's in a cryogenic pod. And while he's still searching for a way to save Nora, for a moment it looks like he's found peace. But that peace is shattered when Nora's condition gets worse, as she needs an organ transplant. This causes Freeze to become desperate again as he returns to Gotham and reaches out to an old colleague, Dr. Gregory Belson. Now, Belson was reluctant to help Freeze, but eventually gave in, as they found out that Barbara Gordon was a perfect match. This causes Freeze to kidnap her as he tries to force an operation. And after Batman and Robin find Freeze's location, it leads to a final fight at an oil rig in the Arctic. And when the platform begins to explode, we get one of my favorite Mr. Freeze moments. He risks his own life to save everyone, because underneath the armor and beneath the ice, he's still human. We also get one of the best shots in the movie, with Batman failing to save Mr. Freeze, and Victor being presumed dead once again. However, in the final scene of the movie, we see Freeze watching a news broadcast from a distance, as it was revealed that Bruce Wayne had paid for doctors to successfully restore Nora's health, and for the first time since his transformation, Victor Freeze smiles. Now, this sounds like the perfect ending to the story of Mr. Freeze. Sadly, it just gets worse. Years after the events of SubZero, Freeze returns to Gotham again, but the Freeze that comes back isn't the same man that we once knew. new. The Freeze that returns to Gotham only wants to steal joy from others and cause as much misery as possible, mainly to prove a point. But how did Freeze get here? SubZero ended with Nora being cured, so why is Freeze lashing out? It was revealed that after Nora recovered, Freeze never paid her a visit, and she eventually moved on and found happiness without him. So naturally you would expect Freeze to be bitter and view him as punishing the world for losing the woman that he loved. And while some of it is true, it's deeper than that. The truth is, by the time that Nora was cured, Victor Freeze was already gone. Not physically, but spiritually and emotionally. The man who loved her and sacrificed everything for her had nothing left to offer her once she was safe. He didn't visit Nora because he didn't know how to. What do you say to someone that you destroyed your soul to save? How do you face the person you love, knowing that in the name of that love, you've become something unrecognizable? I personally think that he didn't want her to see what he had become, so he let her live in a world without him. But in return, it made him completely empty. And that's what makes this character even more tragic. Freeze ended up losing his body and the love of his life, and he just wanted people to feel his pain. It's loneliness disguised as vengeance. Nora recovered and moved on, and Victor didn't. He couldn't, and that's what broke him. He had become so defined by saving her, so consumed by that single goal, that once it was done, he didn't know who he was anymore. Without her, he had no purpose. This version of Freeze isn't trying to win. He's trying to make the world as broken as he is. In the end, Batman stops him, and Freeze disappears again. But whereas SubZero had given Freeze peace, the final season of Batman the Animated Series had taken it all away. Decades later, in the world of Batman Beyond, Victor Freeze returns one last time. In the episode Meltdown, he's found in storage, cryogenically preserved, and is given a new cloned body by Derek Powers. Now, Derek Powers wants to exploit Freeze's technology to eventually give himself a new body, but to do that, he wants to test it out on Freeze first. After the operation is done, Victor is able to walk and breathe normally again. And he tries his best to live a normal life, and while Bruce doesn't buy it, Victor is genuinely trying. That is until his condition gets worse. His body starts to break down and the code creeps back in, proving that the experiment was a fail. He tries to get help from the doctors again, but he quickly finds out that they want to get rid of him and sweep it under the rug. Realizing that Derek Powers was like Ferris Boyle, Freeze dons the suit one final time. Not for revenge, not even for Nora, but to stop another monster from using people the way that he was once used. In the end, there's a final battle between Batman, Derek Powers, and Mr. Freeze. The lab collapses into fire and ice, and Mr. Freeze dies, saving the new Batman. From gimmick to tragedy, from vengeance and loneliness to sacrifice, Mr. Freeze's story isn't just one of loss. It's about what we hold on to when everything else is gone. He couldn't save his relationship with Nora, but in the end, he saved himself. And for a man who lost everything to the code, he found warmth, not in the world, but within himself. If you like this video and want me to do more character deep dives, drop a like, comment your favorite moment, and subscribe. This is Shanadachi, and I'm out.